It isn't required, yet attempt to like or abhorrence the video. We are told toward the start of the film. Infinite beams contrarily affect human minds on Earth. Accordingly, people have been changed into supervillains. Those capacities are simply allowed to the wickedness. The survivors of these beams are alluded to as lowlifes. These reprobates were killing countless individuals. People live in feeling of dread toward these supervillains. Along these lines, they likewise have made their life restricted. One day those supervillains assault a train, in which the guardians of the principal character of this story, Emily's, were done. Emily becomes tragic as a result of it. Here, she concludes she will end those lowlifes when she developed senior. After it, she leaves her all diversions, even her public activity. She just maintains her emphasis on how she can end those lowlifes. She investigates and chips away at every one of the techniques she thinks will be valuable to end the lowlifes. Emily was a wise and shrewd young lady in her group. All instructors like her. The other understudies of her group were desirous of her. That is the reason they often menace her. However, there is somebody who enjoys Emily. She is Lydia. Lydia saves Emily from the terrible understudies. She deals with her. She upholds her in any capacity. Emily currently needs to turn into a researcher to change the ordinary human into super. Will make them ready to battle with those reprobates. For this, Emily buckles down. She buckles down in school, and Lydia takes care of her a ton. Emily was reading up for her tests. According to Lydia, now take rest for quite a while. After some time I will wake you, you can proceed with your concentrate then, at that point. While complying with Lydia, Emily dozes. Be that as it may, she didn't awaken on schedule, which is the reason Emily and Lydia begin battling. The two of them get isolated. Indeed, even after numerous years have passed, they have never met. Lydia was a transporter and getting back from her work. She sees the police were pursuing a few lowlifes. Among those reprobates, Laser assaults them with her laser pillar. Lydia and Laser glimpse each other briefly. Lydia is assaulted by Laser, however she figures out how to escape. After it, miscreants leave. Lydia observes Emily's contact and attempts to reach her. Emily calls Lydia at a school get-together. Be that as it may, she was unable to come to the school get-together. Lydia finds Emily turned into a gigantic researcher. Lydia feels Emily is as yet frightened of coming to the gatherings. She goes to bring Emily into her office, and seeing Emily's office she gets stunned. She used to touch everything with practically no real excuse. Emily tells her she additionally needed to go to the school gathering, however being occupied with the work she neglected. Emily shows her office to Lydia and disallows her to contact anything here. In any case, Lydia, while contacting everything, presses a thing and sits on a couch. Out of nowhere, her options get limited. A few sorts of serums infuse into her face, on which Emily was working. Whenever Lydia yells, everybody shows up. Emily becomes irritated that the difficult work which she was accomplishing for a really long time for making a godlike is demolished. Cut. Emily can go on and on forever reprobates. Since now Lydia has turned into a godlike, Emily thinks her fundamental design is to end the supervillains. So she chooses to prepare Lydia. Her preparation begins the following day. Emily additionally utilizes a few pills, because of which she additionally got a few imperceptible powers. Lydia has become strong after the preparation. They learn one day in the news that the lowlifes are annihilating the city. Then, at that point, Emily brings the crude chicken. Lydia eats it promptly like a creature. It was the results of the serum. It implies now Lydia has become godlike. Afterward, they are displayed in an extraordinary superwoman dress. While wearing it, they go in their supercar for their first mission to end miscreants. They go to a show where miscreants have assaulted. They rival them and rout the reprobates. An odd lowlife with odd hands is additionally shown, whose name was Jerry. Lydia might like him, however Emily stirs Lydia's detects. They get renowned after this episode. Since now individuals should be frightened of miscreants. They come here being simply the godlike and present as Thunder Force. Everybody was more than happy to see them, however there was one individual who was maddened. The head of the reprobates. He used to end individuals here with the assistance of his reprobates. To make individuals apprehensive. So he will take everybody's vote while saying he will shut down those reprobates. He will have the power then, at that point, actually, that was his stunt. It couldn't occur on the grounds that he is crushed in the races. There was the Thunder Force to end the miscreants. The pioneer ends up being angry. The lowlife is shown, he comes to meet Emily and Lydia while taking his unique laser. He offers them assuming that they will uphold him, he will satisfy their all desires. They have just one wish to end the reprobates. They couldn't concur with him. The lowlife returns, to control his indignation he makes his sidekick kill by laser. He does this to control his resentment. He reports at a gathering he needs to set up a party on the new mayor's triumph. His arrangement was to end the mayor. Jerry enlightens Lydia concerning this in an inn. There's chief will probably detonate a bomb in that party. In which, alongside the mayor many individuals will end. Emily and Lydia show up at the party to shut down this. Emily's girl Tracy was driving them from the control room. The chief was additionally present there. She was giving all the data to Laser regarding Tracy's development. Tracy finds the administrator is likewise a reprobate in the middle of them. She strikes something hard at her head. She harms her and illuminates roars. The reprobates are familiar their presence. Since their administrator was giving all the data to those reprobates. The reprobates chief alongside his colleagues shows up before them. Lydia pushes ahead to battle with him. The reprobates chief battles with her. The two of them were strong, so there was an extraordinary battle between them. On another side, Emily was battling with Laser. Emily doesn't have exceptional abilities, that is the reason Laser was prevailing on her. Before Laser can kill Emily, somebody shows up at lightning rate and saves her. She was, in all honesty, Emily's little girl Tracy. She has made herself strong with the assistance of godlike serum. Emily was shocked subsequent to seeing her. She goes to Lydia where the lowlife was going to end her. In the meantime, Jerry shows up and stops the scoundrel to do anything. The scoundrel breaks Jerry's hands. Lydia kicks him with an assistance of a point of support. She tosses him out of the structure. Presently the three Thunders move towards the bomb right away. They figure how to manage it. On it, Lydia concludes she will bounce from the structure while taking the bomb. Saying this, she bounces. It is the reason for the bomb impacts. Emily was disheartened by the way that her companion was presently not alive. Emily, then again, has a wonderful little treat coming up for her. Lydia is as yet alive. She becomes blissful seeing her. This was one of the upsides of Emily's serum. In the last scene of the film, the reprobate Jerry, who saves Lydia's life. He was with Lydia, and they were both eating crude meat. Jerry's messed up hands were additionally mending now. The first film closes with them being shown. We are told toward the beginning that there is no life in this world. This world had no occupants. At some point, a spacecraft shows up on Earth. The outsider beverages a fluid because of it. Its entire body liquefies and blended in with the fluid. Whenever the outsider beverages a fluid, its whole body softens, becomes blended in with the fluid. Following 1,000 years, researchers were concentrating on mountains. They saw something jotted on the cavern. A man was pointing the star and planet in it. After it, the researchers tracked down those drawings wherever on the planet. They are astonished on the grounds that these areas of the planet had no association around then. How might there be similar canvases in all regions regardless of the huge span? This implies that no single individual or gathering can make it happen. To make similar canvases everywhere. The researchers finish up after the exploration. Maybe those colossal people are the people who made them. These drawings fill in as a kind of greeting to people. To be aware of the beginning of their life. It was seen in all artistic creations they were pointing at a similar planet. The researchers choose to go to the planet. The group of researchers is displayed in a spaceship in a resting chamber. Just a single part isn't in the resting unit, he was responsible for the excursion and the boat. That part was not a human, yet rather an android robot. Following 3 years of excursion, they arrive at their objective. The robot rises them from the dozing chamber. Those researchers were potential gain the planet. Any image of life really surprised them. At the point when they see a pyramid, they realize there is life there. Presently the researchers have chosen to go topsy-turvy in the world. The climate of the planet was like Earth. There was a ton of carbon dioxide, which was harmful to them. They go outside while wearing the oxygen cap. Certain individuals stay on the boat, while others go inside the pyramid to review it. To start, David enters it. Heading inside, he sees a few oily fluid and a few buttons too. As he presses the button, a projector begins. It was the recording of a CCTV camera. It was showing that all were running out of this spot. In the meantime, somebody slips and falls there. The entryway closes and the top of the man stayed on the opposite side. As the projector closes, they go to where the man fell. They track down a dead body. Then, at that point, a specialist filters the body. They find the body is 1,000 years of age. The robot David comprehends the language composed on the dividers there. It likewise knows many codes with the assistance of oily fluid. David opens the entryway of the pyramid with the assistance of codes. They track down the top of the dead body on the opposite side. They notice the monstrous sculptures there. They could be outsiders. There were pots out of control. In those pots was the very dark fluid that the man had inebriated before. At the point when they move inside, the climate of the spot changes. The compositions on the dividers were additionally evolving. The dark fluid likewise tumbles from the pots. In the meantime, the researcher gets to consider that there will be the most awful tempest. We will close the entryway of the spaceship inside 15 minutes. So return right away. Among those pots, Dr. Charlie brings a pot. Dr. Shaw, then again, conveyed the outsider's head in her pack. Whenever the specialist opens the pot, it was having 3 cylinders. They were DNAs in them. David blends the DNAs in Charlie's beverage since he generally tries to avoid him. Dr. Shaw begins research on the top of the outsider. Dr. Shaw, then again, was conveying the top of the outsider in her pack. The head really actuates while doing this. The head was actuating rapidly. Dr. Shaw couldn't handle it and it explodes. Different researchers get stunned in the wake of actually looking at the head's DNA. Since that head's DNA matched the human DNA. Dr. Shaw affirms that those individuals made us. The researchers were exploring the pyramid who were trapped in it. They tracked down many dead bodies. They were becoming worried as they contemplated who had killed those outsiders. They were frightened in light of the fact that they were considering. The outsiders can kill the people who killed the outsiders. In the meantime, a snake-like animal shows up. It was made of the dark fluid of the pot. They contact it while thinking of it as a normal snake. It was a high-level snake. It promptly goes in his suit and makes his mouth noxious. It destroys him. The researcher who was there to save him is additionally assaulted by the snake. Subsequently, he falls into the dark fluid. There were numerous responses on his body and he quickly bites the dust. Dr. Shaw and Charlie get to know one another in the spaceship. The following day, when Charlie gets up, his condition was more regrettable. It was occurring a result of the DNA that David has blended in his beverage. They again went to the pyramid together for research. Going there, David, the robot, pushes ahead. Charlie's condition deteriorates. They return while taking him, however David was still inside. Subsequent to exploring, he finds this pyramid is a control room. The dark fluid pots were weapons. Different outsiders rise out of the fluid to toss it around. They murder them. Whenever he squeezes a few fastens, a projector plays there. It was showing the entire universe. The fact that their objective is Earth makes it revealed. He finds that they were coming towards Earth. The dark fluid that he found in the pots. It was their unique sort of pot. At the point when they toss it any place, different outsiders wake up. They were modified from birth to go after people. Presently he finds outsiders in the resting case of the spaceship. He comes to realize an outsider is as yet alive among them. Seeing this, he gets back to his boat. On another side, they were taking Charlie inside. The boat's skipper doesn't permit to bring Charlie inside in view of disease. It might make peril others. Along these lines, she consumes him with a firefighter. Dr. Shaw gets weak seeing this. She finds she is pregnant in the wake of looking at her. She finds an outsider in her stomach. Whenever David disregards her, she goes into a programmed activity machine. She eliminates the outsider from her body through a medical procedure. Shaw doesn't kill the outsider, however places it into a chamber. After it, a 100 years elderly person is displayed on the boat. The elderly person who has put resources into this venture. Since he needs to live more. As per logical examination. Assuming that we find individuals who made us. We will actually want to. They can expand our life. They can likewise make us youthful. That is the reason the man is conversing with Meet the Outsider. They all preclude him also, David tells. He has found the arrangement of outsiders to obliterate the Earth. They need to kill individuals. The man doesn't pay attention to them and on second thought solicitations to enter the pyramid. They transport him to the pyramid. The outsider we saw before, they alert the outsider from the dosing unit. David converses with it. The man says, converse with it for expanding my life. The outsider eliminates the top of the robot David out of resentment. What's more, hits the elderly person. The man begins his boat towards the objective Earth. Shaw quickly emerges from the pyramid. She shares with them while coming to the spaceship that we need to stop this boat at any expense. Yet, presently they don't have any weapon to obliterate the boat. They choose to get into a mishap with that boat. They do likewise while falling their boat to the spacecraft. There was a tremendous impact because of it. Every one of the friends of Shaw bite the dust here, however the outsider actually made do. It was pushing ahead to kill Shaw. Shaw quickly goes to the messed up piece of her boat wherein she kept the outsider. The outsider that rose up out of her body. She takes the boat outsider to one more outsider who was in a chamber. She opens the chamber because of it. The outsider in the chamber kills the other outsider. Shaw was distant from everyone else here. In the meantime, she hears David's voice. He says, if you will assist me, I with willing certainly assist you with returning home. Shaw concurs and says, okay, I will help you. Be that as it may, I would rather not go to the Earth. Yet, I need to go to the planet where the outsiders reside. They utilize this planet as an informative mission. David concurs and they move for the spot in the outsider's spaceship. An awful outsider is conceived and is shown on this planet. On this planet, a risky life is going to start. This is the finish of the second film. Much obliged to you for your time.